The strong preyed on the weak, the rich on the poor, and only power ever seemed to matter. Set knew all about power because he was the strongest of them all. The men he worked with didn't need to know that. He tended to keep a low profile these days. Only his boss, Doctor Ayla, knew of his divine status, but he was smart enough to keep his mouth shut about it. "Hey, he wants to see you now," a prison guard said from his booth at the front of Cairo prison. Set ducked under the boom gate and made his way through security. They let him keep his phone because he was well known, and they knew better than to try and take it from him. He relinquished his 2 handguns and an ancient Kopesh sword that hung on his back. Set was kind of pleased to see swords being used more often. Bullets were expensive, but blades could be used over and over. He liked his sword, and his back felt naked without its weight. A guard escorted Set, even though he knew his way around the labyrinth of cells. It was all for show. They were all ready to play pretend as if Doctor Ayla didn't run the whole place. Doctor himself was a well-built man in his early 50s. His cell was bigger than everyone else's, decorated with rugs and a proper bed. He had a desk with neat notebooks stacked in one corner.
"Ah, Seth, it does my old heart good to see you,"
Doctor greeted, as the guard opened the cell door to let Set in. They shook hands, Doctor acting like a benevolent father figure who was always worried that Set wasn't taking care of himself.
"Why don't you get yourself a decent house already?"
Set asked him, leaning against the cool iron bars. He checked that the guards were gone, and they had some measure of privacy.
Doctor chuckled. "You know as well as I that this is the safest place for me."
Set did know. He was the only one of Doctor's men that actually supported him going to prison. It was a lot harder for his rival bosses to get to the richest man in Egypt if he was behind bars. It kept the killings in Cairo down, and that was good for business. Doctor owned the prison like he owned the judge who had sentenced him. Doctor was kept comfortable, and he kept his business running as efficiently as he ever had.
"So, tell me what's on your mind, boss," Set asked.
Doctor scratched his graying stubble.
"I have a problem, and I don't trust anyone to handle it but you."
Sounds serious. He'd had Doctor give him death squad orders with more cheer.
"It is. I received word this morning that Musa Omar has found my daughter."
Set cocked his head.
"What daughter?"
It was rare that Set was surprised. He thought that Doctor couldn't say anything that would shock him anymore.
"My daughter, Ayla, that I've kept hidden for the past 30 years.